Welcome to another Tactical Timeout. I'm Claudio.
I'm Anthony.
And today we have some of my favorite, the Chaos Daemons. Before we start, everybody knows Chaos has some broken things. The Flamers of Tzeentch, all that meta stuff. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about other combos and some things we like from this book. And let's get into it. So the first unit we're going to talk about is the Fate Skimmer. He's super fast, 14. He moves 14. He casts 2 spells, and he's a Herald. And for 1 CP, every turn, you can teleport him around the board 9 inches away from the enemy model.
So he's just fast, teleporting around the board with damage you can't really stop.
Yes, he's very interactive, close to being like an Eldar, maybe, you might say.
Oh, that's a nightmare. Oh my god.
Here's the great thing about him. It's not just the teleporting that's the great part of this. He's Tzeentch. And Tzeentch has 2 spells specifically that are very offensive, not including Smite. They have Bolt of Change, which I've done it on your Votann. You know how damaging that can be against smaller units. You roll 9 dice, and every 5 is a mortal wound, and every model you kill is an additional mortal wound, up to a max of 3. So like I did to your Votann there, 8 guys went down because you took 8 mortal wounds. And spamming that around, just that, teleporting here and there, wherever you need it, is really powerful. On top of it, you can do Infernal Gateway as well. Infernal Gateway is pretty damaging spell as well. It's an AoE type of spell. It does damage to the unit in front, the model in front of him, as well as any unit touching 3 inches away from that model.
I've noticed something with you. You really like spell armies, and I really like armies that can't deal with spells.
Yeah, it's a great combination.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that? Just being able to teleport everywhere. He also moves 14 inches, so he's very mobile. He can go anywhere you want, and you can just kind of like put him wherever you need.
Kind of reminds me of a Baroth, but just way more annoying.
Basically, yeah.
Because faster, technically.
Yeah.
And just mortal wound spam. Like, that's just annoying.
He can't blink away like Baharoth and be as non-interactive as Baharoth can be, but he can do a lot of damage. You can put him in places where he's protected because he is a character, put him behind other units, put out those spells, and then next turn, blink somewhere else you need him.
He's a Tzeentch demon as well, so that's a 3+ unmodifiable invuln.
Yep. He's got 3 up invuln. The next one's not so much of a strat, but more of a build for one of my demons, greater demons. And a lot of people have been asking why I like Lord of Change better than Fate Weaver. And the big thing was you can stack a lot of things on him to make him a lot better, in my opinion. Yes, Fate Weaver has the buff to his casting, and it goes up by the 5th turn. You're basically automatically cast going off when you have a +5. And he's also Warp Locust, so he can summon things in, which can be very powerful. But you can't make him exalted. You can't give him a relic, and you can't give him a warlord trait. So with all that stacking, I think the Lord of Change could be a lot more useful, especially with this build I'm going to give. What do you think about that?
I do like Fate Weaver better since he has his own stuff that's good. But Lord of Change definitely has his moments where he's just outright better.
And here's why I like the Lord of Change better. For his exalted trait, I like to take -1 to hit. So automatically, he's -1, just making him exalted, he's -1 to hit. The next thing I stack onto him is his Warlord trait, and his Warlord trait is -1 to wound. So now he's -1 to win. He's going kind of to the level of Be'lakor at this point, because he does have a 3-up invuln, and Be'lakor has a 4-up invuln. So technically, he's a little more survivable than Be'lakor. He's not minusing the wounds that he's getting. He's not going to take damage off, but he's very survivable at this point. Then, on top of that, I add in a relic called the Soul Eater Staff. And what that does is regens up to 6 wounds per turn. When he kills models with psychic abilities, you roll on a 4-up, he gets that up to a max of 6 per turn. Makes him very survivable, and he can spam out spells and do a lot of things for you. He's very mobile, he moves fast. Yes, he can't summon things in, he doesn't have Warp Locust, but all those other things make him a lot more survivable in my mind over Fate Weaver.
You're kind of changing my mind with them. Like,
Yeah.
You're definitely right about it because you're saying it. And I remember in the games against me how much that staff just really hurts.
Yep.
With the invuln, with the minus everything. It's a nightmare to deal with.
But by the time you put his exalted trait on, he's kind of the same as Weaver in the amount of points, but it's all the things, all the little bonuses you can give him. The Warlord trait, the Relic, the exalted trait. It makes him super durable, and he can do a lot for you.
Durable or adorable?
Adorable, adorably durable.
There we go.
Let's get into something people like and might be fielding and they know they're really good, but how good are the pink horrors?
Amazingly good, since they're just, if you want durability, they're there for it. They're just really hard to take off the board. They could be an action monkey. They can do everything.
Yeah, and here's how good they are. For 150 points, you have a unit that can be put in positions to take heavy fire, and unless you are absolutely devoting a huge unit to it to wipe it out in one turn, one shot of shooting, one volley of shooting from one unit, because if you don't wipe them out in that one volley, they split. And on every 4 up, they turn into 2 blues, they turn into 2 brimstones, and that can last forever. Yes, they lose blues and the brimstones don't get OBSEC, but as long as you have 1 pink there, you have 1 OBSEC unit, you're good.
You have 1 OBSEC unit.
Yep.
They can do actions. You could, warp strike in?
Yep.
And it's just, they're also a shooting unit in a melee army.
Yep.
And they have a demon save.
They have a demon save.
Siege demon save.
3 up demon save.
It's unbelievably tanky if you're a shooty army, and even if you're melee, you then have to deal with the everything that comes out.
Yeah, they're like, listen, the pink horrors have a 3 up save. They split twice, potentially. You can just really bubble a caster, like we were talking about the Fate Skimmer there. Have them in the front, put him behind there, spamming things out in that section, or have a few casters there. It's just have this annoying blob of models that will never go away, and they'll just keep multiplying and coming towards you. It's really pretty scary. So the next thing I want to talk about might not be as meta as people think, but it is really fun, and it's more powerful than you think, is the Skull Altar. And one fun thing with it is it can be summoned in. So you can move up the field with Be'lakor and just summon in a Blood Altar.
Summoning in a building.
Summoning in a building. It's a vehicle.
Okay. It's a vehicle?
It's a vehicle. It has a vehicle keyword. Now, here's the fun part. So the combo I like to do with this is put the Skull Taker inside the altar, then you summon that in, and with an 18-inch aura, you get -2 to your cast, or the enemy does get -2 from their cast, and you also get the Blood Taker's, the Skull Taker's aura of reroll 1s for Khorne units. Now, it has Warp Locust, it can summon in other units. So now you bring in your 2 units of Bloodletters, and now they get a buff of reroll all 1s to wound, plus Be'lakor's probably there because you summoned it in with him, so you're rerolling everything to hit on 1s. Now your Bloodletters are hitting super hard. And if you want to make this combo next tier, like if you want to take something really nasty out with this and you want to be mean, for 4 Warp Storm points, you can pop Fury of Khorne, and each Khorne model in your army gets 1 attack extra. So now your Bloodletters are getting 10 more attacks, your 2 units of Bloodletters are getting 10 more attacks, Be'lakor gets 1 more attack, and that combo just becomes a lot more nasty.
I could see other things you could do with this as well. Like you could take the brass collar stuff with the dogs to stack even more with the anti-psyker.
Yep, you can, if you want to go the anti-psyker way, absolutely.
1,000 Suns, get out.
Yeah, -5.
-5, oh my God. And I just love the other effect of like the Russian nesting doll, where you have Be'lakor summoning in a vehicle that's holding other things that can summon more things.
Well, yeah, exactly. What else is going to pop out of this thing? If I blow that up, what's going to happen? Oh, you're going to get this Skull Taker right in your face. So now going to another build, because we were getting a lot of questions for how we build our Greater Demons and how I build my Greater Demons. My Bloodthirster, pretty simple build. I still like to take the Exalted trait of only can do 8 wounds per phase. It's a lot better than you think now that he has 20 wounds. It's going to be really hard to kill this guy even within 2 turns, even if you focus fire him.
Yeah.
And to make him even better, be able to regen, like the Lord of Change, you give him the Blood Drinker Talisman, And every time he kills a model on a 5-up, he regains 1 lost wound up to a maximum of 6, just like the Soul Drinker staff or the Soul Eater staff. But still, very durable. He can regen. He can just start eating people and getting his power back, and you know how he shreds in close combat. You don't have to give this guy very many buffs to make him a lot better. And that's what I do with him.
You get like 20 attacks with him in melee.
Yep.
You get max 8 wounds a turn is just a nightmare. Yep. If you want to see it in effect.
Not per turn, per phase.
Per phase.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, per phase.
Yeah.
But for some armies, it's essentially per turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to see that in action, we'll just put a link up here, or maybe it's in his corner, in one of those corners, to link to one of the videos with it. One
of the last fun ones that I like to do. It might not be meta. People might say it's not the greatest, but it's really fun. And if it works, damn, is it really good. So what you want to do is kind of stack the middle. You want to pick Psychic Ritual, and if your opponent picks Psychic Ritual, it might not be as effective, but if your opponent is very Psychic heavy, you put the Blue Scribe in the middle, casting a bubble of -1 aura to the Psychic test. Then you can put other things
like the dogs
that give you additional -1 to your cast. If you fail your test, the Blue Scribe in range of that aura just sucks that power away.
He eats it.
And you can't use it anymore.
My favorite Tzeentch unit. It's just funny.
It's just so fun to use. And you can put that, you can bring that bubble anywhere you want and just suck away spells from people. And yeah, unfortunately you can't take away psychic action, so you can't suck away Warp Ritual, because that would really suck.
That'd be really OP.
Yeah, and it would be really hard to fail Warp Ritual in the first place unless you give them like -5.
I mean, use your Blood Altar combo.
Oh man.
And just dogs, Blood Altar. I'm pretty sure you have other ways to debuff it. Mm-hmm. Spell eat and eat. He's having lunch that day, dinner and breakfast.
It's just really fun, and if it goes to your way, and like you can get like a -3 stack there, and hopefully fail 1 or 2 spells, that could swing a game for you. Yes, he's not the most OP character in the game. He's not very powerful. You're probably not going to take him in a competitive list, but in a fun game, you can do some really, really nasty stuff with him. And one of the more underrated units, I think. People don't really understand how powerful that unit could be if you build around him slightly. Putting some units to support and subtract a little more from the psychic test, he can be really tough.
I think you'll see him best against stuff like Space Marine or Guard or other minor warp factions, because they don't get a lot of buffs to it. They're not going to get a +5 like Fate Weaver or Thousand Suns or whatever. So they're much more likely to fail when you debuff them.
So those are the tactics I brought today for the demons. Yes, I know they're not the top meta tactics. Some of them are really good, but some of them are like those mid-tier tactics that you just want to have fun with. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we know the Flamers of Tzeentch are really strong. We know Be'lakor is really strong. I'm not going to come here and keep spitting that out. You can find that info anywhere you want. Those are the fun ones I wanted to bring today, though. Hope you guys like it.
We're not here to just lecture the book to you of the oh, here's the best thing you're going to take every time. We're getting you to think a bit outside the box, use other strategies that really trip up your opponent.
Yeah, and also just have a little fun with it, too. Thanks for joining us. This is Tactical Timeout. I'm Claudio.
I'm Anthony.
We'll see you guys next time.
Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell.